Good evening. My name is Maureen Millay Smith, and I am one of the librarians at the Edina Library. Welcome to my home and from the artist's house to yours. Tonight I am here to introduce you to Frank and Bell Barr. I first met Frank in the late 1990s when his sculptural works were on display at the Edina Library. It was the old Edina Library east of Highway 100, where Edina City Hall and the Edina Police Department now reside. The walls of the former library were designed to display artwork. On those walls began the tradition of the Edina Public Schools Elementary Art Show, as well as art shows from artists around the Twin Cities. That year, librarian Pamela Holt curated Frank Barr's show. Frank and his wife Belle are residents of Edina, where they raised their 3 sons. They have long been patrons of the Edina Library, and it is as a librarian that I got to know them best. But to my delight, I also came to know them through the Edina Art Fair. It is there that I first saw the fairy houses that Frank and Belle create. Many of you in the viewing audience will also know Frank and Belle from your walks through the Edina Art Fair. The COVID-19 pandemic canceled the Edina Art Fair, along with so much of the public events that we do in our lives this year. With the assistance of Dan Carpenter and Southwest Community Television, we are bringing a little of the art fair to you through the work of Frank and Belle this evening. They are going to tell you about how the fairy houses came to be and what their lives have been like in the world of COVID-19. I want to thank Dick Crockett and the Edina Community Foundation for their support of this artist dialogue. I also need to thank my colleague Susan Woodwick, who proposed this series of programs. Thank you as well to Nicole Gorman of the Edina Senior Center, who introduced me to Dan Carpenter and community cable programming. And many thanks to the Edina Reads Committee and the Friends of the Edina Library. These groups continue to support community engagement and collaboration at all times, but particularly during the pandemic. Thanks to my supervisors, Nick Andrews and Saad Samatar, who have supported this virtual programming throughout a very challenging year. And now, onto the world and the home of Frank and Bell Barr.
Hi, we are Belle and Frank Barr, and we've been housing the fairies for about 22 years. You might recognize us from the Edina Art Fair, or the Uptown Art Fair, or the Excelsior Art Fair, or one of the many other art fairs we do in Minnesota. When we got the stay-at-home art orders in March, we got kind of excited. And we did like everybody else. We organized our closets and our scarves and our books, and we made some kombucha, and we had lots of great food. One of our first ideas was to create our own toilet paper, so I cut up all my own unusable yoga pants that I had, and Frank created a sanitary bucket out of kitty litter container. And then another problem that we got solved was Frank was having a concern about me being with my friends while I was going for a walk, so we created the Friend Stick. Frank cut 6-foot lengths of steel rod and wrapped them in colorful duct tape, and I made a sign and threw it over the top. We did a little advertising on our walks to raise money for the food shelves where Frank and I volunteer every Thursday. The food shelves were seeing double the amount of families during this time. We also started riding our bikes to Trader Joe's, and we were able to deliver groceries to our older friend, and we found 9 Mile Creek. We were still creating in anticipation of the fall shows, and we were brainstorming how we could generate some income without going to art fairs. Our first idea was a free shipping day to promote Mother's Day, which was really successful, especially with our out-of-town customers. We also had a customer call and ask if we could create a class that she and some friends could come and glaze their own fairy houses. So we had 4 classes over the summer. We held these outside so everyone could spatial distance safely. And then we were so fortunate to get a nice write-up in the Edina magazine showcasing the new peace bloomers, which inspired us to create a backyard sale. If you weren't there, this is what it looked like.
I spent a long time running, I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds then, and we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing
It's like
more.
your whole life you've been training for this moment, and when the time comes you just disown it, meaning you just surrender, don't control it, not interested in the clay pots and mold it, or sitting next to the path trying to unfold it, or waiting for the fruits to fall down toward you. Let it go and now you're flowing, feeling quite gorgeous, so you take steps away instead of towards it. What a rush, feeling freedom with nothing to hold. We've been taught that what you touch will always turn to gold, and now we're learning when we let it go it overflows, with no credit to take, cause no credit is home. A higher power working deeper where the seeds are sowed, and when the seeds are true, then they're seeds of gold. But the real gold is joy when life starts to flow, and when it does you just smile cause now you know. I spent a long time running, I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down.
And we were actually kind of excited, weren't we?
Yeah, because we travel a lot during the summer.
Yeah, summers are the busiest season. You know, we try to work all winter, and we did get quite a bit of work done this winter, but there's something exciting about looking forward to a summer where we can work at our own pace at home without working like crazy people all the time.
Yeah, and tending to a garden, that seemed like it was kind of fresh and new. We don't usually have the time or energy to do that.
So right now I'm just cleaning up some details on some of the houses that have not been bisqued yet. And what are you doing, hon?
And I'm assembling these new little bloomers that it kind of feels like they were born to be peace bloomers. And wherever you put them, then the peace fairies show up. So I'm just kind of doing a little assembly.
And we don't work every day, really. Some days we work a lot, some days we don't work so much. That's one of the nice things about being your own boss. The only thing is your boss is always looking over your shoulder. Is just always be exploring possibilities as you're working, and basically keep your hands busy. You're going to discover new things. So we don't sit down each year and try to think, oh gosh, what's the new thing going to be this year? It'll be something that's just evolved over the season, or maybe somebody's made a good suggestion. And
You know, they inspire something new and fresh. I think it was the pixie pies, that guy that drove a forklift for a
a bulldozer. He drove an earth mover or something like that. And why did he want one?
He wanted an outhouse so then he could put that in his bulldozer. So he thought that the fairies would take care of, I don't know, his potty needs or something like that.
Yeah, and we used to do, 15, 20 shows a year. Well, because of the COVID, we're kind of realizing, which I'm sure a lot of people are, that they don't maybe need quite as much as they had.
Yeah, or thought that they needed.
Yeah, and were we just, chasing our tails, trying to get ahead.
Or another way of looking at it is hoarding money, thinking that there was never enough. Or it wouldn't be enough in the future, or some story that we started believing, and now we're not believing it anymore.
But we are a little bit older than we were. We don't have kids in college anymore. Kids are all moved out. We're brand new grandparents for the first time. Yay. So we're excited about that. So this is kind of a new one. It doesn't look especially new, but we've never made this size before. We make these houses that we call caramels. That's a normal caramel. And then when I was making the pixie potties, I thought, well, you know, maybe I can make a bigger one.
Oh,
Did I not talk to you about this yet? I think it was going to be a surprise. Sorry.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, but that's kind of a fun thing too about working at home and having your own business is you can just, you know, if you get a wild hair up, you just run with it, see where it goes. And we probably won't be doing any more fairs this year. It has been kind of nice. People have been supporting us more so on the internet, actually much more so than previous years. But we have such, you know, great loyal customers that they search us out even if we don't actively pursue them.
And we had those 2 little backyard sales too. That was sweet.
Right. Yeah.
The weekend of the Edina Art Fair and the weekend of the Uptown Art Fair.
Yeah, and we'll probably do that again next spring. And we have a good little spot that used to be our storeroom. It's a small room, but we set up some tables in there with our displays on them with you know, easy access for anybody that makes an appointment to come and browse
Real safely.
Safely by themselves. And we all wear masks when people come in. Nothing beats an outdoor art fair though.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
I know. And all the people we see, like organizers. And
And Edina in particular has been such an awesome community. Everybody supports the arts. The Edina Art Fair is really one of my favorites. That and the Uptown have been such great shows over the years.
Yeah. And you make so many cool connections, you know, people that come and see you year after year and catch up and new fairy friends.
Yeah.
And then we noticed that probably like other people's jobs too, you notice new generations, do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of customers that had brought their children when they were small, and now the children are buying fairy houses.
For their kiddos.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat. We are lucky, and luck has a lot to do with it because the customer that comes back, the repeat customer, adding to their collection, intergenerational sharing of the houses. It's all things that, had we made a business plan, it would have been a great business plan, but it just evolved that way. Do you remember the first houses? We didn't even know what to call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like small bird houses, but too small for a bird. And then we gave one to a friend for an anniversary gift. And their daughter, how old was she?
9.
8 or 9? Yeah. She says, "Oh, it's a fairy house." And I was like, you know, rattly head shake. What? Of course, that's what it is. So ever since then, you know, it was like, oh my gosh, that's a reason to do it. I mean, it was fun to make them anyways, which is why they were being made in the first place. But having that little input from that wise young lady.
Yeah,
really.
Thank you, Asha.
Yeah, thanks, Asha.
Yeah. And her parents took us to our first art fair in St. Peter, remember?
Yeah.
And we only sold one fairy house, and you know, I think they were like $25 or something like that. And it
was kind of a big one.
And we were so excited because we knew if we sold one, then we could sell more.
Yeah, and that was one of those early learning experiences too. It wasn't a dedicated art festival. It was an art and jazz festival. And one of the things we learned for us is that a dedicated art fair is the best venue. Large metropolitan areas seem to be the best.
And places that have art centers,
Right.
because those communities support the arts.
Right. So Edina checks all those boxes because I was working downstairs in our unfinished room down there, and it was a fun little studio space.
Mm-hmm. But not as inspiring as having windows.
Right. Yeah. So we're do-it-yourselfers, as you can probably imagine, and so we put the windows in, and it's just really so nice to work out here, winter or summer. You know, you got such a nice view looking around the yard, which we call our campground. So do you wish any of our sons were interested in doing art fairs?
No, I want them to do what makes their heart sing. You know, this works for us, and we get excited to do this. But if that doesn't do it for them, I want to. Yeah,
because otherwise it's just an obligation that they inherit. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, just the art fair circuit is fun. But they could do their own thing on the art fair circuit if something comes to them and that's their venue.
Yeah, but they're creative in other ways themselves. They're musical and artistic. I consider myself lucky because I'm one of those people that started out in college thinking that I had to get, a usable degree like engineering. But woof, I switched to art, which was always my love anyways, all through high school. But I switched back to art in college and got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in ceramics. Didn't think it would look like this, but I'm glad that I was able to use a lot of the skills that I learned in college.
And I'm very trainable.
You are very trainable, and you are very enthusiastic, and you have a great sense of whimsy and color. Belle does the vast majority of glazing and decorating on the houses. I make the parts, I do the clay work and the metal work, and she assembles pieces, as she is doing now. But oftentimes, if we're on a long road trip, she will glaze while we are driving, and she has such a steady hand.
One here. We started another thing that came out of this little COVID is that we started doing these classes, like for 6 or 8 people. And a friend, Katie Boo, she came over and she decorated this. So we'll glaze it up, and then she gets to decide what kind of a mounting she wanted on, or whatever. And that's been really fun too, because then you get to, and we were able to do that in the backyard, so everybody was safe. But then everybody gets to design their own. Yeah. So that was very fun.
Yeah, that was a good find.
Yeah.
Good discovery.
Yeah.
And that's strictly, pretty much a summertime thing. Because I think spending, several hours in the house with strangers in the wintertime maybe isn't going to happen. Good morning.
Good morning.
We've had yoga this morning, so we are nice and limber for sitting for long periods of time. Very important. Very important to stay healthy.
So we've chosen not to have health insurance for the last 22 years. And so that's why we decided that we had to make daily yoga a practice for ourselves to keep our bodies healthy and strong.
That's right.
And we had to clean up our act as far as
our eating.
Our eating goes,
Eating and
our exercising. But that's been for a while now.
And lovely beverages, of course.
Oh, right. We had to look at our use of that. This pandemic has gotten us thinking about a lot of things, about how much we need and how much we don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and balance in our life.
It has. So we are getting ready shortly to head out to Oregon to visit our first grandchild. And it's the first time we've really driven anywhere during the pandemic. And it kind of is reminding me of getting ready for an art fair, because there's a lot of packing and a lot of planning involved. And we're actually bringing all our product because we don't know how long we're going to be out there. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and we want to be able to maintain our internet business while we're out there. So we're still packing as if we're doing an art fair, but with a special added bonus of seeing our family out there.
Yeah, all 3 of our sons are out there. So that'll be fun. Get some family time in.
Yeah.
What do you like best about art fairs?
The people watching.
Yeah, people watching is really, really good.
Yeah, the people think we're there for them, but they're actually there for us.
It's like a constant parade going by.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is pretty fun.
Yeah, I do miss that part.
And do you miss dressing up in your art fair fairy wear?
No, because I just wear it anyway.
That's, she does. I'm going to go to a bigger brush here because this one is kind of lame. Put it in my brush holder. Oh yeah, that's the ticket. You may notice that there's a lot of blowing involved in this process.
We never had to be whistlers with our family because we always trained in our kids that if we clicked our tongue, like, yeah, we could go to like an airport or any place.
Or Target.
Or Target, yeah. And I'd click my tongue and 4 people would turn around and look at me. The 3 boys and Frank would turn around and look at me.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of our...
Just a call signal, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, so we never needed whistles.
Yeah, it's nice when you gotta locate some kids in the store.
Yeah.
And you want them to come. So do you have any advice for young people that maybe want to think about doing an art fair for a living?
Well, I would tell them that if they love what they're doing, people will respond to what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And when I can remember a couple times when we thought that we would do something for somebody else because it was going to be popular, or it was going to be a hit, or it was something was going to happen with it. And then it felt right on its face because we were doing it for somebody else, we weren't doing it for ourselves. So if the young person can do it for themselves, love what they're doing, people will resonate with that because it's all about vibration.
I agree. Yeah. Don't do it for someone else, do it for yourself.
Yeah, and that's what people dig.
People will want a piece of you.
If you love what you're doing, it seems as though things become irresistible. People can't resist that vibe. That's what I would suggest.
And I would say don't sell yourself short. You're worth being supported.
Yeah. And look at all the love and the energy that you put into it, you know. Like, we only got so many precious minutes on this planet, and here we are creating, and people are feeling that.
Yeah. You know, I'm so glad I get to do it with you. I'm so glad that I have a partner that likes to do this. Because you never really planned on being an artist,
No.
per se. I always wanted to, myself, but it just turns out you're a natural.
I think I've always been an intuitive artist. I think we just get to our places different ways, you know. Yours look like schooling and mine kind of just look like playing.
Yeah. And I think everyone's got the creativeness inside of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know some people come to our fairs and say, oh, I don't have a creative bone in my body, but yet they're dressed so incredible, you know. They have like their choices of really cool pieces of glasses or shirt or whatever, and then they claim that they don't have a creative bone in their body. So I think it's just a matter of changing our story.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And telling ourselves that we are creative, and where is our creativity? Just like everybody's got a yoga body. Do you know people think that they can't do yoga? Nope, everybody's got a yoga body. They just got to find it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their creativity. They're just on their search. They're just in the process of finding what it is. You know, seemingly they haven't found it.
That's another thing. Don't skimp on your tools.
Oh yeah, get what you need to do
Yeah.
the job you're gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah, don't let the tool be the thing that distract you from completing the job.
So what's your favorite part of the day?
Right now.
Is it?
Wasn't that my favorite part of the day?
Whichever part you're in?
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds a difficult question. What's yours?
Well, I love doing yoga, especially this year, because we do yoga at the lake down at Lake Harriet every morning at 7 o'clock. And in years past, I think we've been doing it for like 8 years, but in years past, we'd have to take off weekends because we were going to art fairs, and now we get to go down every single morning and go hang out at the lake. Sometimes we stay and we play Quiddler at the picnic tables down there, and it just seems like a really nice place for everybody to hang, and nobody seems like they're in a hurry, and the yoga is just so incredible. All these instructors are just helping us keep our bodies flexible and happy. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite parts of the day.
So you can see we work almost anywhere in our house. Our whole house has become our studio, basically. But if we're not working in the studio or the living room, we're out here in the pergola. There's oftentimes fairy houses spread all over when we're assembling or packing for an art fair, or even preparing for the fair, our show that we do out here. And that's just our lifestyle.
Yeah, our work becomes our play, and our play becomes our work, and our yoga clothes are our work clothes, and our work clothes are our yoga clothes. Like, the boundaries are really fuzzy.
Very fuzzy. And dusty.
Sometimes dusty.
Now this is a good breeze, because I like it when there's a breeze out here. So I don't like to wear a mask. I do wear a mask most of the time when I'm doing this sort of thing. It's really nice to work out here.
It's the first day of fall. Yay.
Yeah, first day of fall. Maybe we should show you the campground.